Welcome back to Hope TV. Excited that you could be a part of our lives today as you open your life to let us in. We're so glad that we'll be able to spread the message of Jesus Christ through hope and laughter and through our experiences. We don't pretend to be perfect people, but God seems to always perfect our mistakes and work it out for our good, as the Bible promises. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of things, but first let me just tell you about an event happening in Boston called the Boston Night of Worship. I want you to know about this because it is, I believe, a very important event for all of New England. Boston being our capital city. Lots of churches, lots of choirs, all sorts of the people that you know and people that you don't know that you're going to want to know. The date for the event is on your screen right now. I'd like for you to contact or go to that website that you see on your screen and find out more information about Boston Night of Worship. Guys, it's going to be some of the best choirs in Boston getting together and sharing the same stage. Man, it's going to be a glorious time in the Lord. I mean, you know what happens when different great people come together and share that stage. It's just, it's like just a powerful happening.
Yeah, heaven on earth. Heaven invades earth.
Well, the Bible speaks about it. When greatness meets greatness.
We speak of that, and segueing to our topic today, the power or the force of one. We want to speak about this idea because there seems to be so much pulling, so much separation. As soon as anybody starts to get their chops, as soon as a good preacher starts to develop in the congregation, so many people, I'm afraid, they start following this person. And they start making a pseudo mini celebrity of them, and within a congregation where there's already a set man and already a pastor. And what I found from the very story of David, when you read that, I mean, Saul was head and shoulders above all other men.
Yes.
Saul is an amazing guy, and the people of God, if you remember, they asked for a king.
That's what they got.
They wanted a king.
Yes.
And so God said, I'm going to give them a king. And God said, this king's going to represent me. He made him taller than everybody else, handsome, strong. And what happened?
Got to his head.
What?
Got to his head.
It got to his head. It's got to his head.
All the way up there because he was tall.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Pride set in.
You know, but in and of himself, Saul was a great man, and I don't think that we talk enough about the greatness of Saul. Saul, in and of himself, could kill 1,000 people, 1,000 men in a battle. Now that's unheard of. You don't read about things like that happening now. I mean, it's unheard of.
Even in the way that he was anointed. I mean, it's an amazing story when you start to hear, the initial story, him being from a small tribe, the tribe of Benjamin, one of the likeliest tribes in Israel at the moment, and what he's going to do, and how he gets anointed. It's just an amazing portrayal of a king in the making.
And it puts me in the mind of some of my favorite movies that I've watched throughout the years, starting off with somebody like John Wayne. John Wayne or even Clint Eastwood.
Yes, Clint Eastwood.
These guys would come into the situation, totally outgunned, totally outnumbered, but by the end of the movie, he's walking out by himself. Wah, wah. I mean, it's just him walking out by himself.
Yeah.
Duke.
I mean, or the Duke. Hey, partner.
the Duke.
Yeah, do it.
Hey, I'm the Duke.
He's the worst impressionist
I can't help
I've
it.
ever
You
seen.
always catch me when I'm not ready.
Well, how you doing, fella? See?
That's
How
better.
he
A
talk.
little bit better.
See?
But these guys portray for us in modern times these figures of forces of one.
Yes.
More recently you got Rambo.
Yes.
Rambo or Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Come on.
Bruce Lee the best.
Even Bruce Willis. Me,
Bruce
because I'm a
Willis.
little younger. You got Die Hard.
Bruce
Just
Lee,
saying.
man.
Just say Bruce
I'm
Willis.
sorry. I
You
love
say
the
Bruce
Die Hard
Willis.
trilogy and the whole.
Bruce
And you
Willis
try to use
sang,
that
man.
one as
Come
you
on.
being younger?
Come on, yes.
Bruce
Wow.
Willis.
Yeah, he's been around. Come on.
He put Bruce Willis with Bruce
Yes,
Lee.
I did.
What is
Come on.
wrong with you, man?
You put Rambo in there.
But the-
Bruce Lee.
But the point is, what would happen with Bruce Lee? How many people would he be outnumbered by?
Enter the
Oh
Dragon.
man.
Enter the Dragon.
Oh, that's
Come on.
great. That's
Classics.
Come on.
We grow up
Levels.
We grow up watching these things, and I mean, even more recent than that, Neo of the Matrix.
Oh,
That's right.
that's just. Matrix.
Amazing.
Changed things.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Amazing.
These just a small group or one person fighting off, and and you get this imagery of one person doing great things. That was-
Gandalf, I loved him.
That was Saul. Saul was that mighty.
Yes.
Saul killed thousands of people all by himself.
Right.
But something happens. Up comes David, and David slays his 10,000s,
Yes.
and the people start to chant.
And that's
Jealousy.
that right there. It creates
Ah.
the scenario of what we're going to talk about, because that right there, man, when the people start to chant what you've done, now you're not saying what you're doing. The people are saying what you're doing, and the people are catching notice of the victories that you're bringing home and the spoils that you're bringing home, and the people are lifting you up.
And
What do you do?
perhaps unwittingly, or perhaps wittingly, the people, the populace start to compare greatness,
Yes.
but they can't let them be together. They almost compare to separate. And in the Bible, they start singing their songs about David. Saul
Saul
killed his thousands, but David killed his 10,000s.
10,000s. Ha.
And while we sit here and we can criticize Saul for the way he treated David, I submit to you guys today that perhaps, sure, God had a plan with David all along, but I think the people had a role to play in how Saul ended up feeling about David.
Yes.
I agree. It's like, if you look at David, David was killing them, but David wasn't taking it on himself. He still respected the king. He still had, he still respected that was his authority. The people are the ones that changed it around, so it made him look bigger, and that affected him in the end.
And it hurt Saul because Saul wanted to be a good king. Nobody goes into life, or nobody takes a position and saying, "Ooh, I want to be extremely average at this."
Yeah. No.
Everybody really
Nobody's
would like
born
to
there.
do a great job.
Yes.
Saul did not want to be forsaken by God. He wanted to do what's right. But the people, and I just want to take a moment and speak to the folks watching here. If you are one of these people that God is lifting up, just because you can sing doesn't mean you need to be the head of your own band if you're already a part of a band.
Amen.
You don't have to start another choir if there's already a choir. Even though people are coming
Come
up to
on.
you and saying,
Come on.
"Oh, if you start a band, I'll go with you." And that's what people do.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the folks will do. Oh, you can preach. If you started a church, I'd go with you.
Yeah.
Pastor,
they
pastor's
plan.
cool.
It brings
Pastor's cool,
separation.
but pastor's cool. But man, imagine what we could do if we left and we did our own thing.
And that's
Plant the seed of
yeah of divide, and that's I mean, the thing is that you can't go without saying that David was talented. David was, I mean, when the people looked at David and they looked at Saul, Saul was great and he was tall, but David was talented. David was gifted. He had a special anointing.
In a lot of ways, David is almost the exact opposite of who Saul is.
Yeah.
Saul is tall. David is said to be short.
Yes.
Saul would wear great armor, and he was very regal. David was known to throw off his crown and his kingly clothes and dance in a simple man's
Yes.
Can
clothes.
that mean something, though?
Oh,
Can that
absolutely.
mean
Oh, that's great.
That Saul liked more of being the regal and David didn't? He didn't care about that?
I think that you're onto something there, because if you look at David's selection, now we talked about the selection of Saul, but if you talk about David's selection, the prophet Samuel shows up to Jesse's house, and he lines up all of the brothers of David, who are all taller, who are
Great.
all good looking, who are they were all doing important things.
Yes. In the army, they were. I mean, serving in the army, they were generals, and they were. I mean.
So they were the obvious choice if God was going to select someone from that house.
Right.
But time and time after each one, God would say, "Nope, not him. Nope, not him." Until all of them had gone, and Samuel said, "Is there another?" And the answer was, yes, there's one, but he's watching over the sheep. It's an insignificant job, and this is where your
Come
point
on.
comes in,
Right.
because David wasn't doing the big thing; he was doing the little things with the right heart.